let's welcome the members of Joseph to our studio here at 98.9 KPNW. Allison, or Allie. Yep. Natalie is in the middle, and Megan is over here.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
So your fourth album, The Sun, dropped at the end of April, and it's been a huge monster success so far.
Thank you.
I think. Yeah. So let's get a little tiny bit of history here. Natalie, you, I guess, were a solo artist back in the day before Joseph was actually a band, and you invited your sisters to join the band.
Yeah, I'm the oldest. I'm 4 years older. And these two flanking me are twins. And when I graduated college, I wanted to be a singer-songwriter and started on that path, and then eventually kind of realized it would be so much better with the two of them joining me. And so I coerced them into it.
And had you heard them singing before? You knew that they were, band material?
It's funny because I didn't know as much as I should have until much later on in life.
Really?
Yeah.
We're actually at our show right now. We are doing a moment. Not to spoil the surprise, but we are singing a cover song of the first song and first time that Natalie heard Megan and I really singing, which is a Rascal Flatts cover, and so we're doing that in the middle of our set.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Awesome.
Well, I was going to ask you if you did original material from the start, or were there, like your formative years where you did covers of artists that you liked?
Both
And
things.
that's the way a lot of people start out.
Yeah. So it's funny when you start out, most of the gigs you get, they ask you to play for like 3 hours.
Oh, right.
So there's
For
no,
us.
now we could play for 3 hours after 4 albums.
Yeah, well, you're like, what am I, Bruce Springsteen?
Exactly. So it's both things. I think we started writing together right away, but then a lot of covers as well.
What kind of covers were those, though?
Oh my
Rihanna.
gosh.
Rihanna, Britney Spears.
Oh, Tegan and
Dolly
Sarah.
Parton.
Really?
Dolly Parton, Tegan, Sarah.
Nice.
Coldplay.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh
Yeah,
Uh,
all over the map.
Cool. All right. And you signed to ATO Records, which is a label started by one of our adopted locals here, Dave Matthews.
Oh,
Yeah.
So is he like your boss?
I wish.
Yeah.
I wonder-
He's so fun.
Is he cool, or is he a stern task?
So great.
He's not like, you got to move the units and sell the tickets.
Oh my God.
We've actually only really hung out with him at
One time.
one time, and it was in Mexico at the
Dave
what's
and
it called?
Tim.
Dave and Tim. It's like a
Yeah.
whole weekend that they
Mm,
we
mhm.
got to open one night for that, and that was so
It's
fun.
really cool.
Oh, with Tim Reynolds.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Oh, cool. All right. Now, I've read that at some point between this is going to be a little serious here. I read between your last album, Good Luck Kid, and this new one, The Sun, you all had like a serious conversation in which you kind of gave each other the space to, speak your truth about whether each of you really wanted to continue in the band or to peace out and bail on the band. What inspired the need to have that conversation, and how close were you to going your own ways, or somebody going their own way?
Ooh, I mean, I think that this is a really odd lifestyle to be living. We're just gone a lot, and we spend a lot of time together. And I find that it's really interesting in our experience, both in this and in other close relationships, where it's like sometimes being in proximity creates more distance between you for married reasons, and I think that it can be easy, especially I think with our tendencies, we don't tend to be very confrontational. I think each of us has like more of an internal thing. And so like for that distance to grow farther and farther and farther, and realizing we weren't really like checking in with what everybody needed, so for myself. And we just needed to have that moment of like, where are we at? Because are we all thriving in our personal lives? Because that's what's more important as sisters. Like to know, like, are you thriving? Are you healthy? Are you happy? Because, it can just be easy to just be along in the machine of the thing continuing on. So we needed to like have that honest moment.
It sounds almost like some advice a therapist would give couples who are, going in for couples therapy. You gotta bring it all to a halt and check in with each other once in a while. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's like that kind of like
Mm-hmm.
we're so in some ways so married to this and the band. It's like
Yeah. And was therapy a part of that process for you guys?
yeah, hugely.
Yeah. As individuals, or have you actually gone into therapy together?
We should.
Yeah, we talked about it multiple times, but we've never actually done it. So we've just each done our own singular therapy, but
Yeah.
It's helped a lot.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that Metallica documentary?
No.
Some
No, I've heard of it.
some kind of monster
Yeah.
where they bring a therapist in,
Yeah.
except the therapist actually wants to be as starstruck as everybody else.
Oh,
The
no.
therapy wants to get the therapist wants to get famous too or something. But anyway, don't find that kind of therapist. So was this sort of introspection? Was it related to the pandemic at all, do you think? I mean, because a lot of people had to do some reevaluating when they were kind of trapped with their family members or whatever.
Yeah. We weren't trapped with each other, but I think it did give us a moment of pause to be like, okay, we can actually breathe for a second. Now that we have a second to breathe, is this what we want to keep doing?
Yeah.
You know, like, is this the path? Or do we want to pivot because now would be the time?
Yeah.
You know?
Which I think it also gave, I'll speak like for me and Megan, it gave us the opportunity to sort of delve into some things that we've been curious about. We both are interested in, like, Megan did some ranching and I did some farming and such. And so we were able to actually do that, whereas before we didn't have any time to do that.
Yeah.
And it was really cool just to get to experience that and think, okay, like, yeah, how does this, is there a way that we can do music and
Ranching.
And be outside with animals or plants or whatever it is. And so
Yeah.
that's been honestly, like, that's been a really big upgrade, I think, like, sort of finding ways to involve that.
So you're still finding time for ranching and farming in your lives?
I'm not necessarily, but we live in a community that it's all around us, so we kind of have access in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, right now we've pivoted and way more into, we're touring a lot right now. So.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the album, because I hear, speaking of, sort of self-analysis and figuring out where you are, I hear a kind of a thread running through this album, which actually kind of sounds like the musings of people who've been encouraged to, go deep within themselves and find their authentic feelings. Like you're kind of wrestling with the question, who am I and how do I be my best self? Am I on the right track there?
Yeah, and what if I'm more, I think is the big question kind of that rings throughout most of the album.
Uh-huh.
What if I'm more than this? Right?
Mm-hmm.
What if I'm more than I'm telling myself or other people are telling me? And,
It's like I think each of us individually it was a moment in each of our personal lives coming out from under belief systems, be it from an external socialization in religion or like a personal relationship or personal struggles with different things that we kind of like came up out from under a rock, each of us in our own ways. And I think it was really fun to get to bring that discovery and personal growth to the table in the writing session.
Wow. That's good. That's deep. That's really good. Now, I read somewhere that somebody was describing your singing as genetically perfected harmonies.
oh my God.
And I'm wondering if being siblings really makes your harmonies better. I mean,
I think it
I
does,
think there's an element for sure. We've talked about just, as a family, you kind of grow these patterns of talking, these ways of like saying words and things. And then just our vocal cords are so from the same flesh.
yes, right.
Oh, like how do you beat that?
Yeah.
We all learn to talk from the same, two people too. So I think that there is some sort of like consistency and when we sing
match
together.
each other's instincts.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right. Well, how do you work out the harmonies in these songs? Because they're just so beautiful and just so tight. I mean, does it come easily or is it a painstaking process to kind of go, you go there and I'll go there?
It is actually pretty easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, for us. I think we just do the things that feel most natural and are just like, right there.
A lot of thirds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember, I mean, as children, was that happening? Were you singing like kid songs together and stuff or stuff you heard?
Together, Natalie was kind of like the singer of the family, but then I remember Megan and I we had the same best friends and all of them could sing. So we would sing like the national anthem or we'd sing different whatever songs growing up where we'd all be in like the gym locker room trying to find harmonies and stuff. So
Got that nice reverb going in there.
Exactly. A bathroom song. But yeah, we didn't really sing together much until we were older. Like when Natalie started doing her solo stuff and then she would come home and show us and then Megan and I would kind of like harmonize in the background or something.
Megan and Allie were like, you know what would make this song better
Yeah.
is us.
Exactly.
Well, on the sister thing in general, do you think being, I'm sure you've heard this question a million times, but do you think that being siblings in a band makes it for better, more honest interactions about the whole thing? Or is it, I mean, you do know how to push each other's buttons if you need to,
Yeah.
you know?
It's interesting because it's just its own animal, you know, because I think in some ways, like we've had to be really intentional about, I would say over the years, like we started doing this when I was 27 or something, and you guys would have been 23. And so it's like you become an adult, you know, in these times. And we've had to, I think if you're around your family, you could have an experience where that limits you and doesn't let you become something new and grow.
Right, because your family thinks of you as one thing, sort of.
In your family of origin,
Yeah.
what role you played. And so we've had to be like really thoughtful. I think each of us has given each other a lot of room to become new and different things that surprise us instead of just being like, oh, you know, I'm the oldest, so I'm always in charge, or I'm always whatever. Like,
Yeah.
You two have put in tons of effort to be like, we are your like colleagues. We're going to do this.
Yeah.
You know, we're putting in all this effort, and so it's like, I think that's something that we've like worked on, and there's lots of dynamics like that that make it really unique.
Have you ever compared notes with other siblings in bands like Tegan and Sarah or the Jonas Brothers or somebody like that?
We would like to.
If we must. If we must.
No, we have. Yeah, Balin. Oh yeah.
Oh,
like we know other
yeah.
friends.
Yeah.
Who are siblings.
We
in
don't really
bands.
know anyone else. Well, I guess the Shook Twins, but we don't really know any other like sister bands.
Yeah.
Do we? I know we're gonna think of them.
I
later
know,
and be
I
like,
know.
oh my god, our
Like,
best friend.
They're sisters. I'm curious about how songwriting works for you. Does one of you bring an idea to the others, or a line, or maybe even an entire song, and play it for the other two, or how do you get from like whatever the beginning is to a fleshed out song?
Well, I would say Natalie is like the one writer who will write a song start to finish that, and bring that to us. But we do a lot of co-writing, which is really fun. We'll like step into a space with like one other writer, and one of us will bring an idea, or whether that's just literally something we've been thinking about, or a relationship thing, or a song melody or something, and then we'll kind of all get in that space together. And I think it's honestly really fun having co-writing experiences because you learn so much. And since there's three of us, like I feel like it always feels very balanced, and like we're bringing a lot to the table, and it feels
Yeah.
You guys have any other thoughts?
I think every song is written in a different
Totally different way.
way.
Yeah. If you bring the idea to the band, do you get to take the lead vocal on the thing?
Time, yeah.
Yeah.
This album, there's a couple songs that we switched
Mm-hmm.
sings them because it just sounded like it
Huh.
in someone else's voice. But most of the time, if one of us is singing it, it's our story.
I was reading an interview that you did like 5 years ago for Teen Vogue.
Oh yeah.
Just wanted some insight into what kind of moisturizer you use.
That's right.
Natalie, you said that writing a song is like painting one particular moment, and then singing a song is like reliving the moment every time you play it.
Whoa,
Right?
That's fun.
Interesting.
Pretty profound, right? And I always wonder this with singers who, you know, kind of sing about kind of stuff that's vulnerable. Is it difficult to relive those moments when they come from a hard place?
Yeah.
When you're live?
You know,
Sometimes, yeah.
yeah. Do you want to take it?
No, go ahead.
Okay, I was just gonna say, I think one thing that we've come to learn as we've done this, is it's interesting how you write something and that can be the catharsis, is writing it.
Uh-huh.
And you might have like, each time you sing the song, there's like, it's like a person. The song's like a person. You have a different relationship to that song at any given moment. And at this point, we've had songs sometimes for like 10 years that become these different things to you over the years in different contexts and the way the lyrics kind of hit. And so, like, I also will say that the song is an entity unto itself that goes out from you and becomes millions of things, you know, to people, and they take it into their lives. And so there can be a time when, like, you might be a little more disconnected from a song in a performance, but like for me, I'll think about people having written in and saying, this song meant this to me.
Mhm.
And then like thinking about that, like our song White Flag, we had played so many times that sometimes it would be, I couldn't like get, and you can't like half do that song, you know, like you have to like, you know, really give it all you've got. And so like I would think about times when people had written in and said, you know, this helped me with my experience of chemotherapy, or like these massive life moments, and that would then fuel it. So I think like what a song is like and when you perform is one of the most interesting things to me, because it's like a living thing that does its own thing and becomes something else and changes every time you do it.
That's really interesting that it already means so many things to so many different people. That's crazy. Allie and Megan, did you ever trade places as children and fool people, like Parent Trap or something?
And like not innocent, but like
We
too
follow the
scared.
rules.
Yeah, we're like too scared. I don't think I've ever believed we look that much alike that anyone would really be tricked.
Yeah, I always felt I have this weird thing where I feel very bad about making someone else feel bad or embarrassed.
Yeah.
So I was like very nervous about thinking that I could trick them and then they'd feel silly, and so I was like, I can't do it. We did have one day, not really pranksters, yeah, but we did have one day in school during like the Spirit Week where it was twin day. And nobody wanted to be twins with one of us. So then we were like, well, I guess we'll be twins together. And then they totally disqualified us. And they were like, well, you can't be twins if you're twins or whatever.
What?
Like, what the heck? I was like,
Actual twins not allowed on Twin Day.
Exactly. That's exactly
Yeah,
it.
it was
So-
ridiculous.
Man, the system is rigged against the twins.
No, it is.
Wow. All right. Let me just do this real quick. My 11-year-old son and my ex-wife brought me dinner last night while I was preparing for this interview, and they suggested the lightning round.
Oh, cool.
So they said this is all their idea, and they were throwing suggestions over the dinner table. Don't overthink these questions. Just everybody should just blurt out your first answer.
Okay.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Oh, it's unanimous. The light turns yellow. Do you stop or speed up?
Speed.
Oh, so you do have a little bit of a rebel in you. Yeah. Is it better to ask for permission or forgiveness?
Permission.
I need permission.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Do you believe in astrology?
A little bit. Me.
Yeah, like
A little bit.
Yeah, I feel this like weird vague thing where I'm like, I feel like it's been around forever, and so there's something that has to be right about it. But then there's also some stuff that I'm like,
The moon
Yeah.
is real.
Right.
Oh yeah, the moon is very effective as
Yes, right. Okay, well, I think I know what you're saying.
Relate to my chart. I'll say that.
All right.
we all go.
Okay, well, I think we just came out of Mercury retrograde, so life should be good for everybody, right?
Was that like yesterday?
I think it might have, yeah. Yeah. Okay, which sister has the shortest fuse?
Oh, we all have very long fuses.
We do.
Yeah, you seem
we
very-
actually do.
Okay.
I don't know.
Which sister is the best listener?
Best listener?
I think Megan is a very good listener.
Very good
listener.
Shortest fuse and best listener.
And
Yeah, you're also obviously a very good
I was
listener
like, I think
too.
I
but
do
it's
have the
like-
shortest fuse. We're really going.
and which sister is the most organized?
Allie.
Ooh.
Really? Okay.
It's a
Really
learned
not me.
skill, and I love that. Thank you guys.
Well, it's great to meet you in person. The band is Joseph. The new album is The Sun. Natalie, Allie, Megan, it's great to meet you. Thanks for coming over.
Thank you.